If you are an employer in the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, the CNMI, you probably have heard about the federalization of immigration laws. The CNMI-only Transitional Worker, or CW classification, is a way to temporarily transition from the old CNMI permit system to U.S. immigration law. To hire a foreign worker, or to keep a foreign worker whose CNMI umbrella permit is expiring, you must follow some new rules. This video explains those new rules and how an employer in the CNMI can sponsor and petition for a foreign worker. This video also reviews what it takes for your employee to qualify for transitional worker status under U.S. immigration law. First, you will need to figure out if you are eligible to hire the foreign worker, and then if the foreign worker you would like to employ is eligible for transitional worker status. To qualify to hire workers with CW status, you as the employer must be engaged in a legitimate business. This means you must produce services or goods for profit, or be a governmental, charitable, or other validly recognized nonprofit organization, and your business must also meet requirements for doing business in the CNMI. You must consider all available U.S. workers for the position, and offer terms and conditions of employment consistent with the nature of your business. You must submit the necessary forms to hire transitional workers, and comply with all federal and CNMI requirements relating to employment, including occupational safety and minimum wage requirements. Finally, you must pay the reasonable transportation costs for the worker to return to his or her last place of foreign residence if that worker is involuntarily dismissed from the employment before the end of the authorized period. If you have determined that you are eligible to hire a transitional worker, the next step is to figure out if the worker is qualified. To qualify for CW status, the foreign worker you want to hire cannot be eligible for any other employment-based non-immigrant status under U.S. immigration law. This means that he or she is not eligible for an H-1B non-immigrant visa or any other kind of temporary work visa. That foreign worker must also be lawfully present in the CNMI or be outside the United States, and also they must be admissible to the United States or be able to get a waiver of a ground of inadmissibility. This basically means that the worker doesn't have something that, by law, would keep him or her from being eligible. Now, if you're determined that you are eligible to hire a foreign worker, and the foreign worker you want to hire is eligible to apply for the CW status, then the next step is for you to submit the necessary forms and paperwork to USCIS. If you are sponsoring or petitioning for one or more workers, you must fill out a Form I-129CW, Petition for a CNMI-only non-immigrant transitional worker. Here's what the form looks like. This form can be downloaded from www.uscis.gov/forms, or you can get a form at the USCIS office in Saipan. Before you begin filling out the form, here are a few things to keep in mind. Make sure you read and follow all form instructions. If handwriting your application, ensure all entries are neat and legible. When entering information on your application or petition, be sure to keep your information within the box or space provided. Use black or blue ink only. Do not use highlighters or red ink on your application. Ensure that you are using the correct edition of the form. The correct, most current edition of every USCIS form is always available for free download on uscis.gov. Ensure that the supporting documents written in a language other than English are accompanied by an English translation. Be sure to sign your application, and be sure that you mail all pages of the application. Once you have completed the form, you'll need to assemble supporting evidence showing that you, your business, the foreign worker, and the job position meet the eligibility criteria. Finally, you'll need to write 2 checks, both made out to the Department of Homeland Security. One for $325 for the I-129CW form, and the other for a CNMI education funding fee of $150 per beneficiary. Once you complete everything, you will be ready to send the entire package to the USCIS California Service Center. You may send your package by regular or express mail. Write "Attention, CW1" on the envelope. This is very important. A foreign worker who is lawfully present in the CNMI may be eligible for a grant of status, which provides CW status directly in the CNMI without the worker having to obtain a U.S. visa abroad. If you are petitioning for a foreign worker and also requesting a grant of status, you must also include an $85 biometrics processing fee in the I-129CW application package. For more information about grant of status criteria, please visit www.uscis.gov/CNMI. If you are petitioning for one or more foreign workers who are requesting consular processing abroad or already have a non-immigrant status, such as an F1 or an H1B, you do not need to submit a biometrics fee to USCIS. When you request a grant of status in the CNMI, USCIS will contact you advising where the foreign worker must go to have his or her fingerprints and photograph taken. This will enable DHS to conduct the required security checks. If your Form I-129CW is approved, USCIS will mail an approval notice to you showing that the petition for CW1 classification has been approved. You should expect to get a notice in 60 days. If 60 days pass and you haven't received any correspondence from USCIS, please contact a USCIS customer service representative by calling 1-800-375-5283 or making an InfoPass appointment at www.uscis.gov to see an officer in our Saipan office. If your approved foreign worker is in the CNMI, you will need to provide the foreign worker with the original approval notice document, which includes the worker's arrival departure record form I-94. The worker will need this form I-94 to indicate that they received approval for the grant of status. If your approved foreign worker is abroad, you will need to send the original approval notice to the worker's address abroad. The approval notice will indicate that they need to make an appointment for a non-immigrant visa interview at the U.S. consulate or embassy nearest to them to seek visa processing of their CW1 visa. CW status is valid for 1 year. You must file a new petition for the CW status on behalf of your employee, or they must obtain another INA non-immigrant or immigrant classification to lawfully stay in the CNMI after that. For more information about transitional worker status, please visit our website at www.uscis.gov/CNMI.